next time we do the poll from it still being 0. Let's do that. Our next guest, perhaps this is appropriate for this moment, is from Are You OK? Which is an organisation that deals with suicide prevention. You might remember the day, Are You OK Day, that comes up once a year. And they're a charity which encourages conversations surrounding mental health. And Craig Mack, who is an ambassador for Are You OK, is here to chat to us about his experience with mental health, perhaps my experience with mental health, within the LGBTQI+ community. So please, welcome Craig. Yay! Welcome. Thank you for joining us. What do you think is the most iconic queer song of all time? What's at the top of your list? I haven't prepped you for this question.
You haven't. Dancing on My Own. I would have to say, as soon as you said that, I was right there with you.
Yeah.
Yep. And as for Kylie versus Cher, I've got to go with Kylie. I've had dinner with Kylie twice. I know exactly.
Oh my God.
What an adorable little woman that she is, and what a talented little
bundle of energy?
A bundle of joy and energy she is,
I don't think anyone probably needed to ask you, are you okay on those days? I imagine the answer was yes.
Yes, absolutely both times.
But were there other days when people have needed to ask that question?
Absolutely. I think we all have days where we're up and down. I think everybody lives on a roller coaster of life, and we have this whole rainbow of emotions that we live on, and we're supposed to experience all of them up and down, and we all need those people around us on those down days.
Yeah.
Which is why it's such an important thing to talk about.
For sure. I mean, I know I myself have been on the Prozacs and have done all the ups and the downs of these things, and been through it all with the psychologists and with Are You OK and Lifeline and these organisations. What about you? What's your experience with mental health?
So I was diagnosed with depression when I was 16. That was after my first suicide attempt, because that's what you do when you're a teenager.
This is going to get heavy, by the way.
I'm going to try.
We should know that this is going to get heavy, and we're going to go and touch on some things. So
Yes, a bit of a trigger warning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm probably had a bit of a crazy upbringing with it as a child.
Yeah. With
a mother who was a heroin addicted, drug dealing hooker in an environment you can imagine that leads to. And I didn't have that many friends as a kid.
And this is like while you're trying to come to terms with your own sexuality?
Oh, this was when I was 8.
Oh, this is before that?
Yeah. This was long before that. I was lucky in that respect, in that my mother had boyfriends and girlfriends, and I have 3 uncles who are gay, so that wasn't so much an issue for me. A lot of the other things were. But that, I think what I learnt from that has been able to help me with other friends.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So when I was about 16, I moved in with my uncle and his partner, who were gay, and they'd been together for about 25 years in a really stable, nice relationship. And that's when probably my mental health started falling apart, because I got into this nice, stable, good, healthy environment. And sort of led to one attempt. Kind of went into therapy, wasn't really ready to talk. So got on the meds. And lived life, moved to Sydney and found my life centre stage as a drag queen for 8-9 years, and a go-go dancer, and all the things you do when you're living the gay life. And then at about 24 was probably my second big car crash, and that was sort of the main one, and that led me into hospital, where I woke up. I didn't start in hospital; I started at home, and wasn't overly happy that I woke up, admittedly, but that gave me a whole lot of treatment and a whole lot of skills to be able to deal with all of the darkness and all of those negative thoughts and the horrible things that we tell ourselves, and learnt to manage, and that was fantastic.
I imagine you learn from your own experience, but you also learn from other people. Who were around you that helped you through that?
And it's a really good question, and it's part of the reason why Are You OK is so important for me. At that time at 24, and again at 36 when I fell into the same hole, as I was crawling out of them, what I realised was that none of my friends were around, and sort of nobody had realised that suddenly I wasn't centre stage, and that I had disappeared from the world, and I wasn't hearing from friends of do you want to catch up, or do you want to go to the movies? We haven't seen you for a while. And it wasn't until one friend, and this was after my 3rd attempt in my 30s, started reaching out and would just be, oh, hey, we haven't seen you for a while. You want to catch up and we'll have a coffee, we'll go for a walk. And we used to just go for a walk in the park and talk about Star Trek and boys and, just all the things that I liked.
Yeah.
And just showed that she was around as a friend. And she was probably the first person in all of those times where I felt connected. And it was just having that one person that was there as a friend, that showed you that you were worth something, that you were worth spending time with, that then really helped with the crawling out and the finding myself again. So then a few years ago, because I've been involved with Are You OK for 3 years now, and around the time that the campaign was happening, a friend posted about somebody who had taken their own life. And it was about the 8th or 9th person that I've heard of in about 18 months.
Because that was a hell of a period, wasn't it?
It's a horrible, it's a horrible thing for anybody to go through, and it's so prevalent in the LGBTI community that we have youth who experience, I think it's around 5 times more mental health issues and people who are attempting to take their own lives than in straight communities. So it's such a huge issue.
And nothing like a national discussion about whether they should be allowed to be married or not, whether the value of them as a person, to really help that along.
Yeah, I mean, that was when calls to Lifeline and Q-Life were going up 20 times their volume during that whole period. And there's people who are still feeling the effects of that now, because it's still a discussion that people have, whether we should be allowed.
Yeah.
Which of course we should be allowed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we lost people because of that discussion. And so you're saying that, when the 7th, 8th friend of yours?
Yeah. And that was a friend of a friend. And at that point I thought, I have an experience, I have a story that can definitely help people. So I reached out to Are You OK to look at becoming an ambassador and using kind of my own experiences to get the message out into our community, because there wasn't a voice in there and there wasn't a consistent discussion that was happening. And it doesn't have to be a hard discussion. Like, I see Are You OK as a really important early step and early intervention kind of thing. It doesn't have to be these horrible, scary, dark conversations that people think mental health has to be.
You could be sitting on a couch with a heart emoji talking about it. Like, it's totally fine.
You go from this to
yes,
this. Like,
perfect.
Exactly.
Because I think the interesting thing you said before is connection. Because I think when you're in that world, and when you're in your head like that, it is sort of a sense of being lost, isn't it?
It is. And
not having that connection.
Not having that connection. And that's where, one of the things I talk about a lot is the inner critic and the voice that we give to the inner critic. And I think we give far too much power to this Twitter troll. That's all it is.
I've been questioning this shirt since I got on.
Well, that shirt's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I when you were steaming it before, I was like, I want that shirt.
Okay, we don't need to get the details of what it takes to get a shirt on there. So how do you get that connection? How do you get from, because when you're in that space, it is very hard to reach out. That's the problem, is that we don't know how to reach out. No. So what can you do?
From the person who's experiencing it, and people say all the time, oh, just call me if you need anything, or reach out if you need anything. What I find, particularly when I'm going through it, and I know talking from other people, is that inner critic stands right in our way and says, you're not worth it, or they don't care. Or
they don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, it's only a token effort. And that's why, for us, reaching out is so hard. And that's where friends and family are actually taking that step to ask, are you okay? And there's 1,000 ways to ask that question, but are you okay is the simplest one, is so important. Because it's somebody else reaching out and saying, I am actually here, I do actually care, and I do want to listen. And that's it. People get scared of this conversation, I think, because they feel they need to take the responsibility for it, or they don't have the skills to manage it, or they don't have the knowledge or the understanding, and they just think they're going to make it worse. One of the things that I love with Are You OK is the 4 steps that it goes through, and it kind of teaches you how to have that conversation just by asking, by listening to what somebody has to say, and by genuinely listening, putting down phones, like actively listening. And then it comes down to really suggesting things that people can do. And it can be as simple as, I have a thing called a smile jar. at home where, whenever anything makes me happy or makes me smile, I write it on a post-it note and stick it in the jar. And then those days when the critic comes out and tells me that I'm a horrible person and life's awful, I've got this jar of I call it a jar of joy, where you can reach out and kind of contradict.
And is that, Jared's asked here, what does self-care actually mean? Is that what you mean, like doing little things like that?
Yes, self-care, it's different for everybody. And this is where people say, oh, just meditate or go to the gym or...
sounds so easy.
It sounds so easy. Meditation doesn't work for me. I try. It's one of those things that doesn't.
Yeah.
Self-care is finding...
The self-critic for me really comes to the front when I'm sitting, it's sort of, like, there's this critical voice like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I can't get into meditation. It's just not for me.
No, there's too much noise in my head for it.
Yeah.
But it's finding those things that you need that bring you, and I hate to say this considering it's trending, that bring you joy.
Yeah.
And that bring you happiness, and the things that ground you into life and are about who you are. For some people,
that's a tea towel. If that brings you joy,
exactly.
Don't throw it out.
Whether it's about having a shoe addiction, like I kind of do at the moment.
They're great kicks.
Yeah, they're not too bad. Thanks. These arrived yesterday. For some people, it's joining groups like the Sydney Convicts for sports, or it's finding the joy in books, or the reading, or the studying, or meditation, or those things that center yourself and bring yourself back into being you. For some people, it's getting out and talking to their friends and being really social. For others, I tend to withdraw in those kind of darker moments because that's what works.
Yeah.
But self-care is about knowing the things that are good for you, and that help you contradict all of or challenge the darkness that you feel.
What about caring for others? I think that's part of Are You OK as well. And Mitch has got a question here. If you think a friend might need help with their mental health, what's a sensitive way to raise the subject with them? And I think that sort of Are You OK is very much about the asking of that question.
Yeah, it's very much about the asking. And that's a really simple way to start. And it can be, if somebody is really normally quite extroverted and out quite a lot and very friendly and very bubbly and very happy, and then all of a sudden they're in their shell and they're disappeared. Or the complete opposite, it's kind of a sign that there's something wrong. And there's 1,000 ways to ask that question of, are you okay? And it could be just like, we haven't noticed you around very much. Or I can see that you've been a little bit quiet lately. Like, is there anything going on? Or maybe you can see that you're just not quite being yourself. Like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Anything that we can talk about. Then it kind of comes down to the resources that people have and knowing where to go. The Are You OK website is a great place. There's a Find Help tab on that page that has a whole lot of different organisations, which I think Courtney Act is doing a wonderful job on Dancing with the Stars with promoting something like Black Rainbow, talking about representation and having different organisations out there. She's doing an incredible job by just promoting such a small organisation, but is so important.
Yeah.
But there's those resources on the site. There's a how to ask guide on the Are You OK website as well.
Because I think people would be scared of sitting down with a friend and saying, "Are you okay?" Yeah. I think it is a strange, particularly for people who have a lot of masculine energy.
Yes.
To be like, right now I'm going to be really emotional with my best mate or something. It's they may not experience. That may not be their friendship. They may be just like going out and getting drinks and having a great time.
That's where, the whole Fearless Friends thing, and that's our tagline this year for Mardi Gras, is getting people to overcome that fear, because it doesn't have to be fearful and it doesn't have to be a difficult conversation, but that fear definitely gets in the way. There's a really interesting group of the bros who get into gaming, and there's a whole gaming group of guys who get together and game, and they talk about mental health while they're gaming. And it's so you talk
like
about,
on chat online.
On chat. Yeah. Which when you talk about guys in that real masculine energy, they're really contradicting that, and they're showing that you can actually have these conversations, and they don't have to be full of fear, and they don't have to be full of confrontation. It's just people being fearless in looking after their friends, and looking after themselves as well.
Well, what about with social media too? Because we're on Facebook right now, and that has. That and Twitter and Instagram and all these places have got a rep in the media for being, difficult places to navigate with mental health. But I think they can also be really good places because, well, I know for me, that's where my friends are. Like, I've got friends that I've only met online.
Yep. I have, being a social media strategist and a mental health guy, I have such a double-sided relationship with social media. And it is a double-edged sword because there are those people who are trolling and there is a lot of damage that you can go looking for or that comes to you. I have 5 trolls that come for me regularly. Or there is the flip side of it where there's access to organisations. There is all your friends that you can access. I have friends all over the world that I can chat to at any time and they chat to me. I tend to ignore as much as I can the conversations that are coming at me and that are negative. You can fairly easily hit a block button. It's not always that easy, but that's one place to start. The whole FOMO thing plays into a lot of people's emotions as well, where they feel like they're missing out and everybody else is having a wonderful life. And that's where you kind of have to look at social media for what it is. And I think we can get a lot more authentic online and not just post about the shining moments and those incredible nights out and the good times.
Yeah. Well, such as right now, for example.
Such as right now.
Yeah.
But we're also having a really vulnerable, proper conversation at the moment. And I think we can do that more on social and actually reveal kind of who we are holistically, not just that one side of the amazing side of life. But
Well, you did mention FOMO, and perhaps we'll wrap up with this because it is Mardi Gras week, and for a lot of people, that's a big event of the year. It attracts people globally come down for this, but then also there's tension there. People are on alcohol for sure, perhaps more, depending who they are. What are the sort of FOMO? What are the risks and strategies around Mardi Gras and that day for people's mental health?
For them, I think it's knowing your own boundaries, and it's knowing if you are encountering. Firstly, there's after the party and there's after the parade. When you're filtering off to whatever you're doing, I would say don't be walking home alone. I'm going to be in drag, so I definitely won't be walking anywhere alone. Putting yourself at risk.
Yeah.
But it's about knowing what your own boundaries are. If you know that alcohol is a trigger for you, or if other things are a trigger for you, step away from them. Don't do those things that put you in a vulnerable spot. If there are people that make you vulnerable or that put you at risk, kind of stay away from those particular people or those organisations as much as you can. Is one way, and it's sort of having those boundaries for yourself on the night, I think is one start. But there's this self-awareness behind that to know what your triggers are, and sort of that's where it all starts for me.
What's your drag plan for Saturday?
So I have obviously bright yellow, Are You Okay dress. I've got my heels, which are about that colour, which are same colour as my hair.
Yeah.
And about 3 hours of turning this into into an amazing looking woman.
Beautiful. I cannot wait. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's get an update now on our most important thing of the day, I think. Cher versus Kylie. That's the question. And you've been voting. It's been going up and down. So thank you. Thank you. Kylie leading the pack, 62% against Cher's 38%, which I think means people didn't go to the Cher show. That was honestly, she did spend a lot of time off stage. She had a few costume changes, and also, you get tired. You sing and you dance, you get a little bit tired, you need a little rest. It's like Cher was leaving. It's like, bye, Cher! So anyway, she's there on 38%, Kylie's on 62%, and we have a small portion left of this show. So you can still vote. You can still vote in that poll, and we'll have the full answers at the end. But for now, the question is, how do you make a glitter beard when you're not allowed glitter? Because they've banned glitter from the Mardi Gras this year for environmental reasons. We don't want all those microplastics seeping into Sydney Harbour. Well, we have a friend of Junkie, David K. Davey, who is showing us right now how to make your own bedazzled glitter beard.
Hiya folks, happy Mardi Gras! My name's Davey. I'm a genderqueer YouTuber, and I'm here today to show you how to bedazzle your beard to celebrate this time of year. In recent news, however, it has been announced about the banning of glitter. Plastic glitter has been banned. However, there are many, many, many other alternatives that we can be using to still bring some magic to this time of year. So there are a ton of brands out there for biodegradable glitter. So I picked a few of these up for like a couple of bucks, you know, maximum I think one was like 10 for this one. So they're pretty cheap and cheerful and give you a very similar effect. So for this particular beard transformation today, we're going to be using just a little touch of this particular glitter, which is called Deep Rose, and that one is from Glitter Solstice. Also from In Your Dreams, which this one is called Aqua Trip. Some of the other brands that I've seen online are like Three Mamas, Glitter Girl, Project Glitter, you know, so there's quite a few. And let's use some hair chalk. So this hair chalk, it's like a minty one and a lilac one. I picked these up from Priceline for a couple of bucks, easy peasy. And then just for some adhesives, I'm going to be using a little tiny touch of hairspray, maybe a little bit of lash glue, we'll see how we go. So let's start with this. So we're going to go ahead and take that, and I want to put that, push down, and paint it on. Then we're going to pop some purple along the sides. Look, I get it, girl. Glitter runs in our veins as queer people. I know that it's part of our culture, but you know what? It's great to see organisations like this being environmentally responsible, and there are so many other options out there. Alright, now on to the glitter. Let's go ahead and take a little bit of this glitter, Aqua Trip, and we're going to pop that on. Now, how am I going to stick that? I think I'm going to give it a crack with some hairspray. So, a little bit of that, mouth firmly closed, and I actually reckon that hairspray sticks it on pretty well. So, you could have used lash glue, but don't. Just use hairspray. Now, I'm going to be going and using the Deep Rose glitter, and I'm just going to spread it on top. And I'm just sort of pushing it in just down flat against the skin. The hairspray should hold it there fine. So there you have it, folks. So if you've got a beard, get your glitter on. Happy Mardi Gras.
Hi, welcome back. That was too easy. That's actually the first time I've seen that. Thank you very much for that tutorial. And now you know just how quickly you could do it. Isn't that right?
Yeah, oh, that was just like,
So
I
easy.
watched it, I did it,
Amazing.
and bingo mango.
That's the best tutorial I've ever seen.
Phenomenal.
Also, yours a stick-on. Why did we have to do mine for real? I am covered in glitter. Like, every time I breathe, it just like flies off my face.
Beautiful, yeah.
Thank you so much. Don't look at the answers. Don't look at the scores. Who do you think won the poll?
Kylie.
I'm going Kylie.
I'm going Kylie as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. Kylie, 64% share, 36%.
Kyles. Yeah, Kyles. We love you, Kylie.
Do you think she's in the country? Do you think she's going to... This is the question that faces us every single year. Is she going to be performing at the party?
We've all heard rumours.
We have.
But on a night like this, there's always going to be a surprise.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I would go wow if she turned up to the party.
Yeah,
wow,
for
wow,
sure.
wow, wow.
Oh, look,
Well, there's a name for it this year.
Anything is possible. You know, spinning around all night long. You
Yeah.
know, you never know.
She really has so many songs.
She does.
Well, thank you. We should wrap this up because it's going to take me an hour to get rid of. So thank you very much, all of you, for joining us today. We've loved hearing your thoughts as well. So please write in. Tomorrow we'll be back 4 o'clock. We'll see you then live on Facebook with Junkie. Bye!